So, Miss Francis, you had something happen here at this bridge back when you were a kid, and this is Green Hill Road, right?
Yes, this is Green Hill Road right outside of
Yeah.
Talihina, Oklahoma.
And what's the name of the creek right here?
I really don't know what the name of this creek is, and it doesn't have a sign up,
Right.
but this is Green Hill Road, and at one time we all had a friend that kept telling us that they lived not far from here, and they explored here.
Right.
So they kept saying they had seen Bigfoot. So we kind of laughed at them.
That was obviously before you had your encounter.
Yes, before I had my encounter. So their father owned the newspaper in this valley for Wilburton, Clayton, and Talihina.
Right.
And he kept hounding his father about putting it in the paper, and his father wouldn't do it because he thought he had lost his mind.
Not uncommon.
So he said people would laugh him out of the town or the county. His father finally relented and put it in the newspaper. So one night there was a area there in Talihina where all of us used to loiter at night. We'd kind of meet up and get out and talk and visit.
Yeah, we had a place like that too.
So I was sitting there. A friend of mine who we called Moose was sitting there, and her brother was also sitting there. Well, we see a friend of ours, Glenn, come sideways around the corner downtown, and we wonder what's going on. And of course, he comes up through there and he screeches to a stop in front of us, and gravel's kind of being thrown around, and he jumps out and says, come on, you guys have got to go with us. You got to see this. We just saw Bigfoot. So we saw him down on Green Hill Road, and we're like, yeah, right. And Glenn said, no, really. And Jeannie, his girlfriend, said, we did. So we got in the back seat of the car, the three of us, and we came to this spot right here,
Right.
which is where Glenn stopped, and we didn't see anything. Nothing came. We waited, and finally I said, what were you doing when you encountered Bigfoot? So at that time, he said, well, Glenn, Jeannie and I were talking, and I was getting a little loud because we were having a little spat. And I said, okay, we'll do that again. You don't have to say the same thing, but just get loud. So they did, and about that time, Bigfoot got on the front of the car and screamed through the windshield to Glenn, in other words, to shut up. And
So it just came out of nowhere.
he came out right here.
Somewhere right here on the other side of this fence line.
And just got on the car. Now it's dark, it's at night, it's got to be a Friday or Saturday night because I only was able to go to town on a Friday or Saturday night. So it had to be before 10:30 because I had to leave Talihina at 10:30 in order to get home by 11 by my curfew. So I know that. I know that it was after I had my driver's license because I was in my car, but I believe when I looked up the Bigfoot article in the newspaper, I think it was in 1969.
The one with the boy that had
The
the
boy
encounter.
that saw it,
And what year was your encounter?
it had to be 70 or 71,
Okay.
and I don't really know what year. I couldn't. We were laughed at so hard, we just didn't even go into restaurants. We just stayed to ourselves pretty much for a while, and we never mentioned it again. And when Tanya came here and wanted to open up the Bigfoot Museum, I told her that I had had a Bigfoot encounter, but I didn't talk about it because everybody thought we were crazy.
You were talking to the right person at the time.
And so I knew I was talking to the right person, and it was okay. And Bigfoot is her passion. The museum is her passion. And so I shared my story, and I helped her with that museum a little bit.
Yeah.
And the people that were with me, all of us are still alive except for Glenn. And I think a lot of people made fun of him. He never ever said that it never happened because it did happen. And Glenn, at one time, he passed away here in town at his own hand due to, I'm sure, a lot of things like this.
Well,
And so,
a lot of times that kind of stuff can just lead down a really dark path for people.
so, because the rest of us, we wouldn't even mention that we saw Bigfoot. We would, and if I was around somebody that had seen Bigfoot, I would say, yes, I did. But for years, I never mentioned that. I've never
Yeah.
talked about it.
Well, I don't blame you. So, well, let me ask you a couple questions. So they had been out here previously, this Glenn and this other lady, and they were parked right here, and they were fighting, and this thing jumped on their hood, and they saw it the first time. They got the heck out of here. They probably hauled butt back to
Yes.
Talihina. That's less than 10-minute drive to get back, especially if you're young and you're doing 80 miles an hour
Right.
in a GTO. And, so they meet up with you, they come back, the creature is still here, but you pulled up, and I guess it was watching you guys or something till it thought that you were fighting. So there was 5 eyewitnesses in the
Yes.
second encounter in the car. Was anybody in the car like, oh no, that was just old Farmer Brown or something?
No,
Or
no.
everybody knew it was
Everybody
something.
knew. And the car actually had a dent, an impression dent in the hood, and the actual underneath of the car actually hit the pavement. Now, this happened twice because he brought us back out here.
Right.
And his car never quite drove right again because that part of the car was so mashed down that
Probably damaged the
it
suspension on
damaged
it.
the suspension of the car.
Wow.
So
Whatever that was pretty heavy.
it had to be very heavy because it takes a large animal to make a car like a
Right.
cow or a bull or something to go down and hit the pavement.
So when it jumped on the hood, tell us what happened then.
It was just screaming real loud in the windshield. It got down in the windshield. And of course, the inside lights from the car, from the dash and different things like that, we were able to see, and we had our headlights on. We were able to see the animal, and the animal's eyes was red, and it was Bigfoot. And the mural on the wall in Tanya's museum is my what I saw.
Right. You painted that yourself.
I did.
Okay.
And I really don't know how I was able to do that because I'm not that great of an artist. But
Yeah.
she was in a bind. She wanted to open her museum, and nobody had shown up to paint anything on her walls or help her
Right.
before her opening. So she came and got me about 7:30, and I worked on that till after 1:30 or 2 in the morning
Right.
for her opening the next day.
So you basically got to look at this thing's face from like less than 8 feet away.
Oh yeah, it was. I'm sitting in the back seat, and it's at the front windshield. And then when it stood up, I mean, it was so high that I had to look out the side window to be able to see it.
Good.
So it was, 7 feet tall or so, 8 maybe. Who knows? I mean,
Right.
I couldn't see it once it stood up next to the car.
Jeez. So
His face.
yeah, that definitely wasn't Farmer Brown, was it?
No.
So let me ask you this. A lot of people would probably get on to me if I didn't ask you this, but did the face look more apish or more human?
Actually, the face was covered with hair. It was, and the only thing I could really see were the eyes and the lips and the nose. It wasn't definite because the hair was coming over it, but I could see the lips on it and the eyes. And it just kind of, the hair was so long that it just went down. And it was like Jack, the young man, had described that his father owned the newspaper.
Wow.
And I had known Jack my whole life. And we were like childhood sweethearts, and we really all thought that he had lost his mind, saying that he saw Bigfoot, and then we had to go apologize to him. You know.
That's good that you did.
Well, we did.
That probably went a long way to helping his mental health.
Right.
So, did all this happen before or after the famous Green Hill Monster thing?
It was after.
So this was after. Wow. Okay. So, let's see. What else do I need? You know, it's kind of hard to get down to the nitty gritty on something like that. I know it was a long time ago, but how would you describe like the scream that it was making? Did it sound like a man, or did it sound like some of those ones that you hear on, TV shows and stuff like that? Was it deafening?
It was deafening, but it wasn't like a man, and it wasn't like an ape. But if you combined a man and an ape, it might have been that.
Wow.
But it was loud. It was loud.
Who was louder, the Bigfoot or the girls screaming in the car?
Bigfoot.
Yeah,
And
now that's impressive.
Bigfoot knew that.
If you can out scream a bunch of teenage girls,
And there was actually 3 women and 2 guys in there.
Really?
And there wasn't anybody that wasn't screaming.
I
So
probably would have been too. Wow. So, well, I appreciate you taking time to tell us your story. And, I'm sorry that people made fun of you. I know how that feels. And, it's kind of a shame, but, we need more people to step out and be courageous, I guess, and say, hey, I really did see something. And the more people that, step out like you, the further we're going to get to, not ridiculing these people. We still got a long ways to go. I catch hell at work at least every other day, but we're getting there, and I believe we're chipping away at that stereotype of oh, Bigfoot people are just crazy. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
well, thank you.